On today's show, the Capitals select Terik Parascak at number 17. What kind of player did the Capitals select? I'll discuss next on this edition of Locked On Capitals.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms, including the SiriusXM app and on YouTube. And I want to thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. My name is Dan Holme. I've covered the Capitals for the last 3 seasons for Locked On and various other outlets before that. I'm also the host of the weekly show called The Capitals Minutecast, available wherever you find your podcasts. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. And the best way that you can help grow the show is to subscribe to Locked On Capitals on YouTube and comment anything down below. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, we talk about the Capitals selecting Terik Parascak at number 17. Going to be honest, a lot of people didn't have that projected. What kind of player did the Capitals select at number 17? I'll talk about that a little bit later. I will talk about the free agents on the Capitals and what kind of questions and what does Brian McClellan plan on doing with those free agents. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I will talk about the Capitals' most recent acquisition in Andrew Mangiapane. But just to get it going here, talking about Terik Parascak and what kind of player did the Capitals get? A forward? A lot of people didn't see that coming. A lot of people thought the Capitals were going to select a defenseman. Earlier, I had thought it would have been Igor Chernyshov, but ultimately what you have to do is position yourself with whatever players are available. You have to select the best player overall. I don't think that you need to select for position. I think ultimately you can make mistakes when you do that. There were some crazy things that happened. Anaheim, for example, always throws curveballs and does things out of left field that are kind of unexpected. But the Capitals selecting Terik Parascak, I'll talk about what kind of player he is and what people were saying before the draft. What kind of player did many people perceive him to be? In an unexpected turn, the Capitals selected right wing Terik Parascak with the 17th overall pick in the draft. Deviating from their initial intention to choose a defenseman, Parascak expressed his immense gratitude for the opportunity, recognizing the past year as a whirlwind experience that has led to his incredible milestone. And they asked him, they said, well, what is it going to be like playing with Alex Ovechkin? Of course, he was excited. This has to be a dream come true for a lot of these younger guys. And I think that, obviously he's going to be a little bit more raw talent. This is definitely not a Ryan Leonard type player, at least of yet. There are things that he needs to work on. And I'll talk about that in this segment. There are some pluses, there are some minuses, but ultimately I think those minuses you could switch over to pluses if you put your work in. Talking about his stats and development areas. Notably, Parascak's standout performance includes an impressive 43 goals and 103 points in 66 games as a rookie. Despite his remarkable offensive achievements, he acknowledges the need for further development in his defensive game and overall skill consistency. This is a common theme with a lot of these younger players, is being responsible with the puck, not with the puck. Those are things you can work on. His exceptional offensive abilities have earned him recognition, yet his skating remains an area for growth. That was kind of one of the knocks on Crystal as well. Although he may not be a top 10 pick due to his limitations, as we know, 17, his offensive talents make him a strong contender in the draft class. While teams may seek more well-rounded players in the early draft picks, Parascak has the potential to make it to the NHL with continued improvements. And that's why you select these guys. Rarely do you see someone go from the draft right to the NHL. And I guess unless they're number 1 overall, or maybe I would say the top 1 through 5, or maybe 1 through 10. But oftentimes, once you start getting down much further than number 1 or number 2, they have to put in some extra work because ultimately that's why they were drafted where they were. Not as good as some of the players around him. Talking about his standings in the NHL draft rankings, again, this was the chatter before this evening. Throughout the season, Parascak has climbed up the NHL mock draft rankings, emerging as a standout player in the WHL. His offensive prowess, demonstrated by his ranking among the top players in the league for points, has solidified his position as a promising prospect. With a powerful shot, strength around the net, and high hockey IQ, he has made significant impact as a rookie. While his defensive capabilities are adequate, there is room for improvement with positioning and consistency. So those are the things that he's going to have to work on. I know that oftentimes these players have a lot of things that they need to work on. I think all things considered, the Capitals got a good player that needs some work, and that's okay. Talking about his performance in the WHL, Parascak had an outstanding season with Prince George Cougars in the Western Hockey League. His performance on the ice has garnered attention from NHL scouts, positioning him as a potential late first round or early second round pick. As we know, he was drafted at 17th. Known for his impressive goal scoring ability, Parascak has showcased a remarkable offensive game and is seen as a valuable addition to any team's prospect pool. While his skating skills may require some refinement, his potential as a top 6 forward is evident if he continues to progress offensively. I think he has some of the tools. I think that he is a work in progress, but that's ultimately what you're going to expect at number 17. Why didn't the Capitals go with the defenseman like a lot of people had said? Brian McClellan alluded that they were interested in defensemen. Again, you have to go with the best player that is available. That's what the Capitals did, and ultimately I think it was the right decision to make. I guess time will only tell to see how this all fans out, but I'm excited about the potential of who Terik Parascak can be. We'll see how he evolves in years to come. All right, so coming up here straight ahead after the break, we will talk about free agents on the Capitals and what are the plans for those said free agents. I'll discuss straight ahead. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you the can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team. It is every day. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So excitement on draft night. In the first round, we have the Capitals selecting Terik Parascak at number 17, but there are questions that the Capitals must answer in regards to free agents. There's not a lot of free agents on this team, unrestricted free agents, that is, but the Capitals still have decisions to make. Re-signings and unrestricted free agents, the Caps are approaching July 1st. Deadline for re-signing scheduled unrestricted free agents without having secured extensions for Max Pacioretty or Nicolas Aube-Kubel. Pacioretty and Kubel are the only unrestricted free agents on the NHL roster. Capitals general manager Brian McClellan stated his pre-draft media availability on Thursday that there are no plans to retain either winger before the deadline or when they become free agents. Again, Max Pacioretty was a gamble 6 different times in his career. He had scored 30 goals. Nicolas Aube-Kubel showed glimpses of greatness, but ultimately, I would like to see what's behind door number 2. Let's talk about Pacioretty in particular. Pacioretty signed a 1-year, $2 million contract with the Caps during free agency last year. His contract included significant performance bonuses after overcoming back-to-back Achilles tendon tears in the previous year. He recorded 23 points, 4 goals, 19 assists in 47 games, achieving all of his bonuses. The earned bonuses totaling $2 million will be deducted from the Capitals salary cap for the 24-25 season. Pacioretty also had the opportunity to bring the Capitals some assets at the trade deadline, but chose not to waive his no-move clause to help the Capitals in their pursuit of the playoffs. Again, I will always be grateful for Max Pacioretty doing the right thing, standing by the team that took a flyer on him, took a leap of faith on him. I think that, at the end of the day, he was a good mentor, I think, for some of the younger guys. But again, I'm happy to be moving on from Max Pacioretty. Nicolas Aube-Kubel, a guy that, again, came on really strong at certain points and other points was a liability. Aube-Kubel joined the Capitals in November of 2022 as a waiver claim from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Washington signed him to a 1-year, $1.225 million contract extension, and he registered 16 points in 60 games last season. Again, I think the Capitals have better options internally. If you want to take a look in Hershey in particular, I think they have great options. They don't need to deal with Pacioretty and Nicolas Aube-Kubel. Hey, they were worth it. They were good at their time. But ultimately, like I said, I would like to see what is behind door number 2. Other UFAs and RFAs, in addition to the impending decision regarding Pacioretty and Aube-Kubel, the teams will also need to consider the future of several UFAs who recently won a Calder Cup with the AHL's Hershey Bears. Matthew Phillips, I've seen enough. I've seen enough of Matthew Phillips. Joe Snively, glimpses of greatness. Injuries have derailed him. Lucas Johansson, the guy that one day is going to be the future of the blue line, never has happened. Chase Prisky, I like his game, are all set to hit the open market on July 1st. Connor McMichael, Beck Malenstein are the team's 2 NHL rostered restricted free agents. McClellan anticipates offering both qualifying offers. Ethan Frank, yes. Alex Limoges, yes. Riley Sutter, Hardy Hamanaktel, and Mitchell Gibson are also restricted free agents within the Caps organization affiliated with the Hershey Bears. Again, those are the players I would bring back. I've seen enough of Matthew Phillips. I think the Lucas Johansson experiment has lived past its expiration, that those were good players. They were worthwhile. Joe Snively, for example, might be seeking greener pastures. We've heard about that. But I think that when you take a look at Connor McMichael, Beck Malenstein, Ethan Frank, Riley Sutter, Alex Limoges, those kind of players I think you want to bring back. It's just doing the right thing and bringing back the right players and stop trying to retread tires that we know aren't going to work. Lucas Johansson, maybe, but I've heard maybe on Lucas Johansson for the longest time, and Matthew Phillips has been a bust for me anyway since day number 1. All right, so coming up here after the break, we will talk about the most recent addition for the Capitals, Andrew Mangiapane. Where does he fit into the Capitals' master plans? I'll discuss straight ahead. I love sports. I love sports so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app, dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And guys, let's face it, Major League Baseball is still going on, so there's plenty of things to bet on. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So I wake up this morning and I check my phone for news surrounding the Capitals, and what do I hear? The Capitals make an acquisition in Andrew Mangiapane, a name that I'm familiar with, played for the Calgary Flames for a long time, had a really great season, and has never since really lived up to that, but I think has the potential of doing something greater. And Frank Saravalli was talking about this. When you start to line up the numbers between Oshie's LTIR money and how much Andrew Mangiapane is going to get paid, it kind of tips the hand that maybe TJ Oshie, in fact, won't be coming back next season. That is at least the opinion of Frank Saravalli. So talking about what kind of player Andrew Mangiapane is, let's talk about the trade details first here. The Capitals have made modifications to their forward lines by securing the services of Andrew Mangiapane from the Calgary Flames ahead of the 2024 NHL draft. Again, this happened it was late last night or early morning. GM Brian McClellan disclosed that Washington traded a 2025 second-round pick to Calgary in return for Mangiapane. Moreover, the Calgary Flames have traded Andrew Mangiapane to the Washington Capitals for that second-round pick. Talking about his performance and how he has never quite lived up to the player that he once was, but still not a bad player. I'm not here to say that he's not a good player. He just had one really red hot season and never quite found that same hotness, if you will. During the last season with the Flames, Mangiapane showcased his prowess with 14 goals and 26 assists, accumulating 40 points in 75 games. Notably, he recorded 72 high danger scoring chances at 5-on-5, the highest on Calgary's roster. This transaction comes on the heels of Washington's recent acquisition of Pierre-Luc Dubois. So there's a lot of maybes there. Pierre-Luc Dubois, what kind of player are we going to get? Andrew Mangiapane, what kind of player is he going to be? Neither one of those players is like 2 thumbs up for me. It's maybe 1.5. So I'm still waiting for that move to go like, yes, this is what the Capitals have been waiting for. This just upper echelon, top tier score. Haven't seen that yet. Talking about the contract details, Mangiapane is in the final season of a 3-year contract with a $5.8 million AAV, signed in August of 2022. Having spent his entire 7-year career with the Flames, Mangiapane was originally selected by Calgary in the 6th round of the 2015 draft. Talking about Calgary Flames perspective, what was in it for Calgary? The Flames made the decision to trade Mangiapane, taking into consideration his age, contractual details, and performance. Additionally, shedding his $5.8 million AAV without retaining salary represents a significant benefit for the Flames. All the talking heads, all the pundits were talking today that they could not believe that Calgary did not retain any salary, that the Capitals were like, we're totally in on Andrew Mangiapane. The acquisition of a second-round pick will support the Flames in their long-term retooling efforts. Another team that's full-on retool, tear it down to the studs-ish, what was going on the ice last year is not working. We want to make changes. Talking about cap space, draft picks, the Flames currently hold just under $29 million in cap space, according to Cap Friendly, or Capital Friendly, if you will. Following this transaction, the Flames now possess 4 picks, 2 first-round and 2 second-round in the first 2 rounds of the 2025 NHL draft. This is in consideration of the Flames potentially losing a first-round pick in the upcoming draft due to the Sean Monahan trade. So the Flames team. Now, anytime that you take a look at the Capitals and you think, woe is me, just take a look at the past and how many different years this team has made it to the playoffs. On the regular, they make it to the playoffs. But you take a look at the Flames, a team that has wandered in the wilderness for quite some time. Sometimes they'll have a hot season, but if I'm going to paint them with an extremely broad brush, they have never been a really great team consistently. Again, some great years here and there, but that is what the Flames are about. They want to offload players that aren't producing, kind of like the Capitals. When I talked about Pacioretty and Nicolas Aube-Kubel, there are a lot of teams that are in similar position to what the Capitals position, or even worse. So those are all things to consider as Capitals fans before you start thinking, woe is me. Listen, I want to thank you once again for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, your only daily year-round podcast covering the Washington Capitals. And I want to thank all of you that listen on the audio side and watch this on YouTube. You are ultimately what makes this show successful. When you're done here, head on over to Locked On's 24/7 streaming channel, available on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app and on YouTube. Listen, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Dan Holme, and I'll talk to you again next time.